Hey everybody, it's Psychic Krystaline. I wanted to check in and give you guys a little bit of some new insights I've picked up on the Idaho Four Bryan Kohberger case. And there's been some search warrants that have come out recently and things that are putting some of the pieces together on my original notes on the case. And so I wanted to break things down and go down into what I'm starting to pick up is some more meaning behind the motive and why Bryan Kohberger allegedly planned this murder, this quadruple murder on the Idaho Four students, Kaylee, Maddie, Ethan, and his girlfriend Zaina. Okay, so stick around to the end if you want to see about the motive, and I'm going to just fill you guys in on some things that kind of lead me to believe that it's a little bit of validation that Bryan Kohberger did not act alone, allegedly, on this quadruple murder, okay? And so the first thing I wanted to talk about is there's a video that was pulled from one of the neighbors' Ring cameras, or I'm not sure if it was from their house or one of the people right around there. There's been two videos that were uploaded to YouTube, and they showed in the background of law enforcement, and also I think from one of the security cameras of the neighbors, three men with backpacks on going up the hill towards the students, like around 4 a.m. I'm not sure the exact time, but it was like right in that window of time where allegedly the murder started happening from, putting together the details. And so remember from my original notes, Spirit had told me they went up the hill with backpacks. And so these two videos have been pulled from YouTube, and I don't see any reason why they would be pulled from YouTube unless in the videos were three men going up the hill with backpacks, exactly like Spirit had told me. I don't see any other reason why those videos would be pulled from YouTube unless they were evidentiary in nature. Okay, and so that happened I think back in the spring. And so more stuff has come out over the summer in some of the search warrants as well. And it's been released that there's three unknown male DNA profiles that have been, investigated, I guess. So they're at the house. They had found three males that are unknown, according to the documents, besides Bryan Kohberger. And so I had told you guys that I saw quite a few people, at least three people, and a getaway driver that were involved in planning or executing or indirectly or directly, and also that there was multiple weapons involved. So that was kind of validation for me. There's some other things that have come to light. It's also been released on the Pennsylvania search warrant for Bryan Kohberger that there was a letter confiscated from Bryan from Montana at his parents' house in Pennsylvania. And the FBI confiscated this letter that was a letter from Bryan in Montana or something like that, or from Montana to Bryan, back or one of the way or the other, I'm not sure. So it's been brought to my attention a few other things that have come to light. And so remember in my original notes, I had told everybody that it popped in my head through my meditation that there is a statue. And I was I didn't know if it was somebody was a descendant of that town or if there was a statue left, at the crime scene. I wasn't sure. I just get notes, I get insights clairaudiently as a medium, and I just take notes. Later, these pieces start coming together. And so people have brought it to my attention that there's actually a descendant of one of the founders of Idaho. And so there's also, okay, I keep jumping around, but it's also come to light that the defense has been fighting the cause, for probable cause of the arrest, and saying that the grand jury was biased and that at least one founding member of the state of Idaho could have a biased influence on the grand jury proceedings that actually made that warrant for Bryan to be arrested. And so I just wanted you guys to know that there is a family from Idaho that there's one of them named Jake. Remember I was saying Jake was driving? Spirit had told me Jake was driving, Jake tied the bow, Jake did it. Like, there's all this stuff about Jake. They drove in from Clancy. They were hiding out in Clancy. So it's come to my attention that there's a family that has a statue of one of their descendants from the founding state of Idaho in the Capitol building. And so I don't know, everybody's innocent until proven guilty, but there is a family called the Shoup family. And there's actually a hall on campus named after this family in honor of them called Shoup Hall. And so, yeah, his name was George Shoup, I'm pretty sure. And so he was like one of the founders of the state of Idaho. But not only that, I'm pretty sure that he was also like the first governor or something like that. He came across like from Salmon, Idaho, and like founded this whole region with one other person from the research I've done. But I had heard from Spirit, like there is a statue. And so there's a person named Jake, actually, who lives in Montana. And his name is Jake Shoup. And I don't even know if he's connected at all, but all the circumstances line up with things that I was getting in my notes. And so time will tell. Everybody's innocent. This is completely psychic information. But it seemed to be a lot of validation for me if this person allegedly is involved. He lived in a town called Belgrade, Montana, which is like maybe 10 minutes away from Clancy in Montana. And so it kind of would make sense, like this person, Jake, is a descendant of somebody that has a statue in the Capitol building. So if he's involved, that would, I don't know, but he would definitely be connected with the statue thing that I, and the name Jake and all the stuff, all these other pieces that I was, picking up on. And so, yeah, I don't know if Jake had friends with him in Montana that maybe Bryan met on, the Reddit forum where he had asked people how they were feeling and all this stuff when they, committed felonies. And so, I don't know, the more that comes out, the more I just see how if Bryan is responsible for the murder, he allegedly planned this so meticulously. I just feel like he not only planned like the area, the school, because it's a very small town, not a lot of experience with murders, but also maybe allegedly chose accomplices that have really deep roots to the state of Idaho. And I feel like allegedly he was trying to set these people up to exonerate himself. And, he's so overconfident. Like, I pick up a lot of like jealousy was the motive and for these people being privileged kids, but that could be more of his accomplice's motive. To me, it also seems like Bryan Kohberger allegedly thinks that he's smarter than law enforcement. And I pick up like, if he built up to this crazy quadruple murder with, accomplices or not, what took him to that place? We do know like he had gotten fired or was about to get fired from his teaching assistant job. But it's also come out that he was really into the cyber side of investigations and had been denied a request to work with the, I think it was Western or the university or the city of Pullman. I'm not sure. Some of the law enforcement, either with the university or in Pullman, Washington, where he wanted to help train them on how to do the cyber side of the investigations. And so I've told you guys from the start that I was getting these serial killer vibes. I'm not picking up that like, if Bryan is the person, I have to always say that. I'm not picking up that like he has murdered other people, but I feel like he was like more obsessed into like thinking that he's smarter than law enforcement. And I feel like I'm getting chills. Oh yeah. So he built up to this, like getting confidence. And from what I've also read is there's a new warrant that came out, I think it's a search warrant, or subpoena or something. I'm not sure what it's called. I don't know what the legal terms, but it goes from January 1st of 2022 to June 1st. And that was the last semester that Bryan was at Desales University studying his criminology. And I have heard that he had, been a teaching assistant or like studied under Kathrine Ramsland. I'm pretty sure that's her name, Kathrine Ramsland. And she's like this expert on serial killers who wrote all these books, like literally one of the most famous serial killer experts, and specifically with BTK. And I told you guys that I heard from Spirit also that they used restraints. Whoever was responsible for this. This hasn't been released to anybody yet that we know of, so it could be something that they're keeping, that only, keeping close to the vest for the investigation, so that if people are involved, like, they wouldn't know that inside info unless they were like friggin' there. And so it's come out like he was like really like, building a relationship with Kathrine Ramsland. And she's like a serial killing expert. And I just get this feeling like he was obsessed with like cyber stuff and like stalking and watching. And, now it's come out that that search warrant is from like June, which would be his last semester, where he likely studied under Kathrine Ramsland. And from what I've heard, she's also kept quiet. Like, she says she can't say anything regarding the case. People were just thinking maybe it's a conflict of interest. Here I am thinking now, because also I was just watching the court stuff like just like last week. Bryan's defense was saying that there's like 50 kilobytes, or I'm not sure what they're called, like tetrabytes or something like that. Terabytes, that's what it is. 50 terabytes of information that they need to go over. So they wanted to like extend the trial to like a farther date. And they're also asking for a change of venue outside of, Moscow, Idaho, which I think, if there are these deep roots with Shoup Hall and that family, I don't even know if it's involved, but if they are, I mean, they probably know a lot of people in town, maybe in the courts even. It is a very small area. And so, even if they moved it somewhere else in Idaho, I'm pretty sure this family is well established in Idaho. And so it was kind of validation too. Like, they can't say too much, obviously. And I don't know how much has been revealed, if there are alleged informants to, about these DNA people, and if they are like turning on, Bryan. I kept saying from the start, I felt like Bryan was like going to say he was just the getaway driver. And now that, more has come out, he did say his alibi for the night was, I was just driving around in my car at like 4 a.m, which some people do. They just like, take off and start driving. But it kind of would, if there were informants and accomplices going up that hill with backpacks, he would definitely want to say, okay, because there's even video that we don't know for sure if it's the Elantra, but supposedly an Elantra was seen like turning around and backing out and like driving around, like, and speeding off, like right after the time frame of when all the students were, brutally murdered. And so that right there too would lead us to believe, okay, like, he's setting this whole story up that I just like dropped them off if he did get caught to that extent. Knowing too, like, that there's that video of they went up the hill with backpacks, and I had heard it's making more sense of how that knife sheath would get left behind. I feel like Bryan, I know I did my other video where I said like he was wearing suspenders, and that I thought, he had just dropped those suspenders and the sheath fell off, which I think is still the case. And I feel like he probably wore like fishing waders or something that would like protect his clothes. And I just feel like he was so OCD that like he just probably panicked at the end and like wrapped everything up and put it in his backpack. And so he wouldn't have no need for that sheath, because the suspenders and like the waders and, the fishing waders and stuff were like thrown into his backpack to like, like keep everything clean, keep keep his clothes clean. So when they would go to the car, there would be no like cross-contamination and stuff. And so I think that that's why he didn't realize that he left that sheath, because he just threw everything in the backpack and wanted to get that out of there. And so, all of these pieces are coming together. That warrant from June 1st, actually, too, I just was looking at my notes. It was for his Microsoft email, or for somebody's Microsoft email. And I think that what investigators might be doing is like trying to set up like a pattern of Bryan Kohberger, like planning, stalking, like anything, any communication with Kathrine Ramsland, because I feel like he thought he was smarter than her. He thought like there's a pattern where all these women had interactions with him, like that lady cop. I'm getting chills again. He thought he was smarter than everybody, even law enforcement. But, you know, building up that confidence to think that like Bryan was actually smarter than, you know, Kathrine Ramsland. I mean, that would boost his ego if he like was studying her that whole time and stalking her online on her laptop, hacking into her like electronics at her house. Like who knows what's going to come to light through this search warrant with the Microsoft emails, which he likely could have been using to communicate with her his last semester of school. And so, you know, he definitely, to me, I get this vibe where he thought he was going to plan the perfect crime and get away with it, like set all these people up with roots and, you know, deep roots to even the Capitol building in DC, the serial killing expert, you know, like I'm getting chills. I keep getting chills, guys. This is so strong a validation. Okay, so I guess I don't know what else I have to say. I'm just going to look at my notes and see. I think I pretty much went over everything. Yeah, the shoe haul. Oh, there's one more thing. I don't know if I brought it up in my last video, but Kaylee was apparently, I don't know if this is true. I haven't, you know, found proof of it, but apparently there's information out there that she was going to be moving to Austin the next day to work for this company. And I've heard that like they took down her LinkedIn, like, you know, the day after the murders or something, and that there could be connections with Jake's brother. He has a company in Austin, and that if this is the person, you know, Jake Shoop's brother, he has a brother, Elijah, who actually lives in Austin, and that's where Kaylee was going to be moving. And so on top of that, like there's pictures out there of this person, Elijah, that is like, I mean, I don't see him like, I don't know, everything's a legend anyway, but if he was involved, I'm not picking up a strong connection with him. I just think that's partly why some of these people were chosen, you know, to be his accomplices. And Kaylee is actually seen in pictures, I think with Bethany, and I don't know if Maddie's in the pictures, but there's some pictures out there on the web of them like at a formal or like some sort of sorority event and fraternity events where Jake Shoop's brother is seen in these pictures, Elijah, with them. And so I don't know if there's a connection or not, but the name Jake was something that came through very prominent, and Montana and the statue. So I mean, that's a lot of validation, but this is all psychic information, and, you know, we don't know who's involved. All these people are innocent until, you know, proven guilty. But I do see that Bryan was actively and especially involved in the planning, but I think he's just going to, like, play it off like I was just driving, or, you know, I think they probably have evidence of him planning too, but I think he's just going to say, like, I was driving, or I just helped plan, and all these other people did it, you know, which I feel like he was in that house and had an obsession with Maddie. I was picking up Pizza Place. She worked there. And when I doused the chart, it was pointing to Maddie. So we'll find out, I guess. We're going to have to wait a while for the trial to come out. But I know it's been a long time since I updated anybody on cases. But like, I just wanted to wait for more to come out, and everything just takes a long time to be released. And so finally, I'm at this point where I feel like there was enough more information that I had validation on that I just wanted to check in and update you guys. And so I just want to say at the end too, I kind of get the feeling that, I don't know if Bryan knows that they have informants, but I feel like once he finds out if there are Jake and these other people that are informants, allegedly, I think that he's going to like plead down to like life in prison, so that he could brag about how he is the smartest person who set up the perfect crime, and just like feed his narcissistic ego, just he would rather like sit in prison, like interview people, and like be known as like the guy who almost got away with the perfect crime. I'm getting chills. Whoa. Yeah, see, that's kind of validating that I see a lot of evidence like against him if he is the person, if there's, you know, all these people that are like trying to get their own plea deal and are going to like testify against him. I mean, those are firsthand witnesses, which is pretty strong, pretty strong evidence. And if he was choosing felons that were connected with Jake, I have no idea, like who the other, I did see the name Franklin and Chad as well. I don't know who the other people are, but there were 3 people going up the hill with backpacks, and then another driver, I think, is separate. So it's like 3 or 4 people. So we'll see. Time will tell. But I just wanted to check in and just pray for the families. Like, I feel so bad that, it was literally the week before Christmas, and the university tore down that house. And from what I've heard, like literally the house where the murders happened, it was like an investment property, but I'm pretty sure like the guy that owns the university, or like the president of the university, or somebody connected with the University of Idaho, like literally this guy, like his family owned that house, like, and they're going to donate it and have it, be a park. And I'm just like thinking, why like put the families through that? Like, what are they trying to hide? It just makes me feel like if this person, the Shoup family, is somehow involved indirectly or directly, there's a hall on campus, Shoup Hall. There's even a picture on Elijah's Instagram of him and Jake standing in front of Shoup Hall. I'm just like pissed for the families that they would do that, tear down evidence, and it was literally the week before Christmas. Like, who the hell do they, like, that's some arrogance too, and what are they trying to hide? Like, what's the rush? I know, like, everybody's saying like they're, they have all these videos and pictures of the house, but like you still can't hear it. Like, if you're in that house and the jury wanted to go in there to hear like what a scream would, from upstairs, like what would a scream sound like from there, like barking outside, like just sounds from outside, like echoes, and like somebody walking, would you be able to hear it from downstairs? Like, there's a lot of things that you just can't see in a video. And so to me, like, why would it hurt to like leave it up? So my form of justice is not only the right people being held accountable for this, freaking crazy quadruple homicide. I would love to see if, this alleged family, I don't even have any idea if it's involved or not, but if they are and it's found and there's enough proof that, one of the descendants of that Shoup family was involved and there was any sort of cover up or not warning the public when they had this information, I think that Shoup Hall should be torn down. If it's like has anything to do with it, like that would be justice to the families for me. And so time will tell. We're going to have to just give it time, and I'm trying not to get worked up. I just feel so bad for the families that they would do it right during Christmas too. Like, right, I think it was the week before Christmas. So what's the rush, Yeah. So I love you guys. Thanks for listening all the way to the end. Until next time, I have a couple more videos I'm working on right now. So look forward to sharing that stuff with you. And I hope you guys all have a blessed year.